So welcome back once more to our food forest. It's mid-September and it's time for another look around the Croft food forest, see what's happening, see what's growing, see what might have broken, have a general look around. So that path is cleared, although the willow is still partially on top of the blackcurrants there. And this big tree in the centre here, I think I said it would come down in 3 different parts, 3 branches, but I think there's 2 there, another one here, another one, and another one, so 5 parts have broken from this main tree. And as you see, we've cut some of it off this raised bed, but it's still on that one over there and blocking this path. But the little bath is still alive, and the frog is inside too. Well, you can see back here the leaves are growing back after those strong winds we had in that storm almost 4 weeks ago now. The leaves are growing back, probably just in time go brown as autumn is just about upon us. In the meantime, make some blackberries. Yeah, you see the honeysuckle here. I mean, most of the honeysuckles in this country are not edible. You do get the honeyberry, which is a sort of blueberry, but yeah, just avoid eating honeysuckle. The garlic mustard is growing back, so we might get another little crop of that. And also the sweet Sicily is looking good, so we may get a second crop of that too if the warm weather continues. Yeah, we're finding with the wind that we've had recently, it's bringing down those branches that were damaged in the first storm that we had. Just a little bit of breeze brings them down. It's a good time for the blackberries though. There's plenty of blackberries around. In fact, the variety we have is a Himalayan variety, which is quite vigorous. We grew it here because not much grew initially when we bought it, but now it's taken a hold and the forest is protecting it. It's growing quite vigorously, so we'll have to keep that in check a little bit, I think. And we've managed to pick up a few blackberries which will go down very nicely. A few apples, I think. Although most of our apples aren't ready yet, so we might have to add some from elsewhere. These apples are looking good. Seems to be a special sort of light this time of year. As the autumn falls and the geese start to appear behind us on the loch. It's a beautiful time of year. And the birds like to get in amongst the apples when they can. So just look out for those blackbirds in particular. So you can see our pear tree here. We only moved it to this area a couple of years ago. And it was dying at the time, but it's recovered. But you can see on some of these that the skin is splitting, and that probably means a change of moisture. So it's probably been very dry and then very wet, and the skin's not been able to cope with the amount of water that's been going inside. So that's what's happened. So to resolve that, we'll probably have to mulch it maybe a little bit better, just to keep the moisture fairly constant. But I'm quite pleased that it actually has grown some pears this year, and it has recovered a little bit. These James Grieve apples looking pretty good. See these elderberries beginning to grow and ripen up. This tree lost at least 70% of its leaves in the storm that we had, but still able to produce a few elderberries. So you can see a little bit of confusion here. The elder tree, which suffered the same windy fate as many of the other trees, is now in the process of recreating flowers because of the ones that it lost in the wind. But it's also creating berries at the same time. So we have berries right here, and then flowers here and further up in the tree. So we should get a double helping of berries. Oh dear. This could be one of our chickens that's been got. I have noticed a buzzard around here recently, so that could be that. So I'll have to have a look around and see what's happened there. And then I saw this. Is this a hen harrier? It's a little bit larger than a Kestrel, I think. And then this, an attack. In fact, there were more than one bird in this. Maybe the birds of prey are actually fighting for food in here. gets another one either diving for food or not sure. And the geese keep plodding by. So this is the apple tree that we moved last year. It was getting very diseased and blown a lot by the wind, and it really wasn't very happy. So we weren't sure if it would live. We took quite a bit off it, quite a few of the branches off there, dug up as much of the root as we could, and some of it has died back, so we'll have to cut this back again. There's some branches there have died off, but it actually is alive and now beginning to grow in places, so I think a bit more cutting back, and I think we may have saved this apple tree. So once they get to a certain size, it's difficult to move them. We did move it in the midwinter. It seems okay now, on the mend. I mean, if you were to see this and it had been growing here normally, you would be worried about it, but because we've only just moved it across here this winter, it's not doing badly and is recovering. So we'll see how we get on with that. And so that branch there will probably need to come off, and maybe this one over here too. But I think we've saved the tree. And the Siberian purslane is coming back still. In fact, it seems to have flowered most of the year. And the roses are still blooming wherever they can. Hello, Weasley. Now, Weasley sometimes thinks this is his litter box, so I'll have to watch what happens here. And so plenty of rose hips. It's wild rose that we've got, so we'll use those. Having a long walk down this area that we call Cricket Hollow. We used to have stumps up at the end of the grassy bit there, place of cricket. Now this is a place that the bats like to come. In fact, I see quite a few birds along here. In fact, there's a pigeon there on the gate. Here we have doves and pigeons here, but recent times the numbers have gone down quite a lot as the birds of prey have moved in. We have hen harriers, a kestrel, large buzzard, a sparrowhawk. We even have a barn owl. Nice to see these vines finally growing. Hope we'll get a few tubers in these. These are a new acquisition this year. Plenty of good food in here. These, I think, are pink fir apple, which I believe is Prince Charles's favourite potato. And as I was checking something else out, a barn owl flew out of the Scots pines. Just a brief glimmer. So these are many of the new trees that were actually donated and put in for us by some helpers that we had in. Many of them are going very well. Quite a few oaks in here. Of course, still growing in amongst the reeds. The reeds do give them some protection in the wind, but we will gradually move those, cut those back. The trees are doing quite well. There's a variety here, as well as oak. There's some sea buckthorn there too. They get some shelter from the Scots pine behind them. Of course, not the whole area is covered in food. We do have small areas where the boys play football. But I thought we'd give you a look at what is just on the edge of our food forest, which is really flow country and big skies, flat, peaty land couple of reeds, and beyond in the background there's Loch of May. In fact, if you strain your eyes you can see the Castle of May in the distance. And this grassy area partially has a football field on it for the boys, but we've got a few more oaks here as well, in amongst the reeds, so giving them a little bit of protection. We'll mulch these before the winter and over winter, give them more food to draw down into the roots. These are actually planted by some volunteer helpers, some youth, some young adults, even some missionaries helped us out with some of these trees. The Riker apple trees, a Czechoslovakian variety that does really well up here, even in the full wind on the west side of land. Yeah, the blackcurrants have lost all their berries now, they're all gone. Plum trees are losing their leaves. And some of these have lost leaves and have never quite recovered since the storm that we had. Cotoneaster is doing okay. These rose rugosa rose hips are great to collect for rose hip syrup. rose is still growing, and these rose hips are from the Albertine, so we'll use these and see if we can actually grow some of these from seed as well. Grow really well. So we leave you with these rose hips and some pictures of a buzzard that's come into the neighbourhood and moves between the Loch of May and our land, looking for whatever he can find. Goodbye for now, from the far north food forest.